right, so number 16. Question 16, okay? Give examples of the following. So, herbivores. All right, so herbivores are consumers, okay, that eat plants like cows, okay? So anything that eats plants are herbivores, okay? Omnivores, remember, those are consumers that eat plants and animals or meat, okay? Then we have carnivores. Carnivores, they eat only animals, no plants, okay? And then we have consumers versus producers. Okay, so just remember, producers are plants. They produce their own glucose. Consumers, okay, are you and animals. They have to eat to get their energy. Okay, sometimes consumers are referred to as, okay, heterotrophs. Okay, because they need a different source of energy. And sometimes producers are referred to as autotrophs, okay, because they can produce they can make their own energy. All right, so hope this helps. Okay, see you next time. All right, guys, welcome back. Today, or this time, what I want to review with you guys is what this is called a food web. Okay, so a food web. So a food web is a collection of different food chains. So for example, this is a food chain. Okay, so a deer, okay, eats the leaves on a tree, right? So what happens is the arrow means energy. So when the deer eats the leaves of a tree, it's getting energy there. And then the lion eats the deer, so energy is going from the deer to the lion, okay? So this is one food chain in the food web, okay? Grass and tree, okay, these guys are producers, okay? And so notice there's no arrows going to them because they produce their own energy. So this grass, the rabbit's going to eat the grass, so energy is going to go to the rabbit. Now, there are two things here that eat the rabbit, the hawk and the lion, okay? So the lion would eat the rabbit, okay? The hawk also eats the rabbit, okay? Now, the grass, who else eats the grass? The mouse eats the grass, so energy is going to the mouse, okay? And the hawk eats the mouse, so that's why energy is going to the hawk from the mouse. Now, let's go to the next one. Caterpillars eat the grass, so energy goes from the grass to the caterpillars. Birds eat caterpillars, so energy is going that way. And the fox eats the bird, so that's why energy is going that way. So it's very important that you guys understand that a food web are multiple food chains. So now let's look at one food chain. For example, the grass gets eaten by the mouse, and the mouse gets eaten by the fox. So that's this food chain in our food web. So now what happens if, okay, there's lots of rain and the grass population grows, right? So now the population grass grows. Now, because the grass population grows, there's more food for the mouse. So since there's more food because the grass population grew because there was a lot of rain that year. Now the mouse population, okay, could also grow. So you guys got to remember that if a population increases or decreases, that's going to also affect the other populations, right? Now, so it's very important. Okay, what if the population of grass goes down? So what if the population, instead of the population going up, what if the pop decreases? Then there's less food for the mouse. So then now, instead of the population increasing, now the population would decrease because there's less food, okay, for the mouse to eat. Okay, and so therefore there would be more competition for the grass, and if there's less grass, there's less food, so more and more mice wouldn't be able to get food, and so then they would die, right? Okay, so that's super important. Okay, so when you are looking at the test, remember that the arrows represent energy, and this is the food for this, and this is the food for this. And remember that the population of one affects the other population. For example, let's say the mouse died and it was the fox's only food source. Then the population of foxes would also go down because they wouldn't have any food. And if they don't have a food for a very long time, maybe the fox might also go extinct in that particular area. So that's very important. Keep those relationships in mind when studying or when looking at questions regarding food chains and food webs. All right, so number 15. Okay, we're talking about food chains. All right, so let's make up with food chain, guys. All right, so let's say we have grass. Okay, and the grass, okay, is eaten by a cow. The cow gets eaten by us. This is a food chain. Notice the arrow, okay, this arrow here represents energy flow. Okay, energy flow. So when a cow eats grass, energy is going from the grass to the cow. Energy is going from the cow to the human. Okay, so that's very important. All right, now, okay, another important concept is, for example, let's look at a different food chain. All right, so let's talk about algae. Okay, and then this thing called plankton that eat algae. And then we have small fish. And then we have large fish. Okay, so we're talking about a pond or something like that, okay? So now what ends up happening is, what you need to understand is, what if, okay, one of these guys goes extinct, all right? So for example, the plankton. So now there's no more plankton, all right? So what happens to the small fish, right? Okay, well, they're going to die as well because now there is no more food for them to eat. So then they die. What happens to the large fish? Now they die because there's no small fish. So the links in this food chain are very important, right? Now, here's another concept. If there are now no plankton, okay, the algae, okay, is going to grow, okay? That's a type of plant here. And sometimes algae, as you read in the book, okay, the algae, okay, produces this chemical, okay, and that chemical can affect the water that it's in, and so that's also bad. So sometimes you need to understand that everything in the chain kind of keeps every population in check. All right, so if you eliminate the plankton, then algae grow out of control. If you eliminate the plankton, there's no small fish. If you eliminate the small fish, right? So let's say we're all fishing and we kill these fish. Now, these large fish get attacked. Okay, get diminished. But now the population of plankton will go up. And if the population of plankton goes up, then this population now will go down, right? And so then there's less producers, okay? Also, another big concept that you guys need to understand is plants are referred to as producers. The next one up is the consumer. And because it's the first consumer, they call it the primary consumer, okay? This is the secondary consumer. What that means is they eat these guys, the primary consumers, and then the tertiary consumer, or the top consumer. It's another one, okay? And consumer just means that they have to eat to get their energy. Producers means they produce their energy. And so that's from our reading as well, okay? So remember, food chain, everything along the food chain matters. You eliminate one, okay? Then one will be affected in this case, all right? Okay, and so you guys are going to have problems like that where you have to think along those terms, all right? So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, write them down and talk to me in class.